The Ray Darcy Show on RTE Radio One. Proudly sponsored by Volkswagen. Volkswagen.ie.
51551 for your text. You can send us emails to ray@rte.ie. I'm joined in the studio by Roopesh Panicker. Afternoon, Roopesh.
Good afternoon. Thank you for
Roopesh
having
is
me.
from India originally. Roopesh and his wife have been living in Ireland now for 6 years. His wife Naja is a nurse. Roopesh used to work in the hotel industry. Their daughter Eva was born here. They both love living in Ireland, and it was all going swimmingly well until it came to Eva's education, and then doors began to close in their faces. That's it then. Okay, so Eva is what age now?
She is 4.5.
Okay, so last, when? November, October?
Last November when I started applying for her in the schools. So all these things started that time in November. When I applied in the first school, which is very close to my house, which is hardly 5 minutes away. And that school is actually right across the play school where she used to go. So that was the first choice, we applied there. And I was informed, the first reply was that, you are late. I said, all right, fine. And then she said, oh no, we will keep her on the wait list. I said, all right, fine. And then they took the form and everything. And then I came back. And then I got the reply in November, second week around, that they are not able to offer her a place in the school this year.
Why?
That's when I became curious. I said, okay, fine, let me give them a call. I approached them, and the principal of the school, she informed me that, the school is oversubscribed. I said, fine, no problem. Why don't you keep her for the next year, for 2016? She said, yeah, I can keep her for the next year, but I can't assure you that she will be getting a place next year. Okay. I said, why is that? Because she should be on the first priority list, because she is on wait list this year. Yes. So she should be on the priority list on the next year. She said, no, I can't assure you anything, because are you aware, did you read the school enrollment policies? I said, yeah, I did read the enrollment policies. So what does that mean to you? And she said, we are a Catholic school and we follow the Catholic first policy, and it very clearly states in the school enrollment policy. So we stand in the number 5th.
Yeah, so the school priorities applicants in 5 categories. So the first people who get the first category is Catholic children of the parish. So they get first priority.
Yes.
Followed by siblings of current pupils.
Yes.
Then children of staff.
Yes.
And fourth, siblings of pupils in a sister school.
Yes.
And finally, non-Catholic children of the parish.
Yes.
So that's Eva.
That's Eva.
Right.
So where do we stand?
She's at the bottom of the list.
Bottom of the list. Again, next year she'll be bottom of the list. That's why she can't guarantee a place. Okay. That was the reply. So I said, that's very saddening. She said, I can't do anything much. And I said, can you give me a waitlist number? There should be some. She said, I don't have to explain you all these things. You have my rejection letter. You can go for the appeal.
Yes.
And at that time itself, I mentioned it to her that I will be going to the highest authority in this country to challenge this.
Okay, so who did you go to?
I approached the education minister. I wrote a letter to the education minister. I wrote a letter to the Department of Justice. And then I finally wrote a letter to the Archbishop of Dublin.
Dermot Martin.
That's right.
Okay. What responses did you get?
I got letters from both the ministers, and they did mention that there is a section like Section 7.3c, wherein schools, especially the denomination schools, they have the right to prioritize. Yes. They should not discriminate, but they can prioritize kids on that
discrimination.
Basis. It is basically a discrimination.
Yeah. State-funded schools are allowed to discriminate on the basis of religion in this country.
Yes.
And about 94% are run by religious orders.
Yes.
Over 90% are run by the Catholic Church.
92% by Catholics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what they said. They were just sort of reiterating what the law is. Did they suggest that they might be changing?
They said they are bringing in some new regulations and all, but doesn't mention what regulation they are bringing in or which way are going to do it.
Okay.
So that was the reply from those two ministers.
And the Archbishop, did you get a response
Archbishop
from him?
of Dublin, that was a shocking reply I got. I have never got such discrimination or shocking reply from any of the from any head of the institution. First he listened to my story and then he said, okay, tell me what's the problem. I said, I've written...
Who is this? Who you say he?
Unfortunately,
you don't have a name.
He just mentioned it that he is calling from
the Archbishop's office.
Okay. He is the education spokesperson.
Okay.
And I could not pick up the name.
Okay. Fine.
In that. And then later on he said, what is your problem? I said, this is the problem. I've written it in very clearly in detail. And he said, are you aware the schools are Catholics? I said, I am aware. That's why I am writing it to you so that you can help me in some way. And then he said, but these are the Catholic schools. And then I said, see, myself, I have done my preschooling from Catholic institution in India. And my wife, she has done most of her education from Catholic institution. institution.
So you're a Hindu.
I'm a Hindu.
Okay.
I believe in Hindu. My wife is a Hindu. She believes in Hindu, but she believes in Christianity as well. Christianity as well,
okay.
sorry.
Okay.
And she goes to church, and she has got a Bible in the bedroom, which she reads very often.
Okay, but Eva isn't baptized into the Catholic Church.
No.
Yes.
So that was the next thing. What he said, in that case, I can suggest you something. Why don't you baptize Eva? And I was shocked, when this phone call came. My wife was right next to me, and she said, "What did that gentleman say?" I said, "This is the solution that he's giving me. Why don't you baptize your child?" And I said, you are in such a high position. Do you know the meaning? I'm sure you're a priest and you know the meaning of baptizing somebody from Hindu to a Catholic. That means you're asking me to change my religion just to get into the school. He said, in that case, you will get the first priority on the list. That does it. And this reply, it put us down like anything. We even thought of leaving Ireland. We both sat, we didn't sleep the whole night. And then I called my family back home, and they were like, "We can't believe such things are there."
Yes.
Because
it does turn a spotlight on the daftness of the whole thing, though.
Yes.
That response.
Yes.
Yes.
And we were let down.
I fear, this is just by the way, I fear, Roopesh, that a lot of people in Ireland have their children baptised just to ensure that they'll get into the local Catholic school.
I've spoken to quite a few after this all. I've spoken to quite a few Catholic parents. They all say we have just baptized, so that we can get school admission, not to go into all these hassles,
Yeah, you know that like the church attendance now in this country is around 30%.
I know.
And yet the primary school controlled by the Catholic Church is over 90%. It doesn't.
That's right.
The ownership of the primary schools probably doesn't reflect the modern reality of Irish society. And of course, there's more people like yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, coming in from various religions and varied ethnicity. Now, we just better say that a spokesperson for the diocese said that there was no record of such a phone conversation having taken place.
Yeah, they can say that, but there are other ways to prove it, because I don't have to lie, Why do I go lying around that I got a phone call from such and such place and such was said?
Well, of course, all they've said is that there's no record.
They will not have a record. There are other means to prove it.
They're not saying that didn't happen. They're just saying that there's
no records. There will not be any records for the phone call. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. There are ways around things. Anyway, so Eva then, she couldn't get into the closest school, which is close to her play school. Obviously, her mates are going there as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So what happened next then?
I got into a school, even that's a Catholic school, which is 6 kilometers away.
6 kilometers.
6 kilometers away. So my first priority was to get her into a school because people say, that's just a 1 year, but loss of a 1 year for me, it's a great thing, to sit her at home for doing nothing 1 year, So we got her into a school which is 6 kilometers away from the house.
Okay. Outside the parish? Is it?
Yes, it is outside the parish. Yes.
Right. Yeah. What do you think of the whole thing? It
lets us down. It is like emotionally blackmailing somebody. If you want to study, you get your child baptized. If you want, you become a Christian. It's like that. I'm not against any religion. My father never taught me to hate any religion. My father, when he prays, he'll have the Hindu gods in front of him. He'll have the Christian God in front of him, and that's how he used to pray, and that's how he had taught me, and that's what we follow. And I'll tell you a small story. When Eva used to go to a park which is very close to that school where she used to go, and she met her friends. And this is the second time she asked me the same questions. Daddy, can I ask you something? All my old friends, they go to this school. Why am I not going to this school? Why am I going to a different school? I have no answer for her. What do I tell? Do you want me to
you can tell her that state-funded schools are allowed to discriminate on the basis of religion.
Yeah, I don't want to fuel her with this discrimination things now itself. But eventually a day will come then when she will know and she will ask me again the same question, and I would have to tell her. This is what discrimination is all about. You don't have to discriminate a 4-year child on the basis of religion to get into a school. They are a future of every country.
Yes.
They should be brought in such an atmosphere with all the kids from all the religion.
And was there any Educate Together schools in your area?
There was one Educate Together. I applied in 2 Educate Together schools, but unfortunately they were oversubscribed.
Oversubscribed?
Yes.
Okay. So is Eva's name still down on that local school?
Local school. I will tell you, I got a letter today in the post from the first school where I've applied, stating that her name is there in the mailing list, And if you are interested in this school, just fill up this enrollment form, and send it back to us. But still the position is not assured.
It's not assured. Okay.
This year,
Okay.
and we will follow the school's enrollment policy. So they are coming back onto the same stuff, and they have sent me a copy of the enrollment policy again.
And there's a problem as well, I think, in this country, in that different primary schools have different admission policies.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they do.
You would think that because they're state funded, that the Department of Education would stipulate that all schools have the same admission policy.
If you ask me, I would ask the minister to bring in a regulation where all the schools are controlled by one authority. Doesn't have to be controlled by the minister. Should be controlled by the one authority. Their curriculum, their admission policies, so that parents don't have to suffer, especially the kids.
Roopesh sounds like a lovely person, but that's the way the system is. If any of us were in his country, which is India, we would be seen as an outsider, and if he wanted an education in his country, we would be paying through the nose, says Peter in Cork. This is similar to Catholics becoming Protestants during the famine to get soup in the soup kitchens, says Brian. Did that man only try Catholic schools? Was there not a Church of Ireland school near? Well, you did try Educate Together. Did you try Church of Ireland? No.
No.
Why can't Eva go to the Muslim school near her? Why does she have to attend a Catholic school? Well, you're Hindu, not Muslim.
I'm a Hindu, yeah.
Yes,
but there's no Muslim school.
There's no Muslim school
No.
either. This is not just a Catholic issue. I'm experiencing similar trying to enrol my daughter, who was baptised for 2016 secondary, because of the enrolment policy of feeder schools, siblings, staff kids, etc. My daughter is an only child with no relatives in any of these schools, having doors shut everywhere. The policy is outdated and needs major review. We need an equal footing for all. We have equality legislation in Ireland. Why is this not enforced? Thank you. Well, I read we had John Walsh in. He was an advisor to Rory Quinn when Rory Quinn was the Minister for Education, and he was privy to a lot of meetings that were going on.
Yes.
And he says that just people are very reluctant to change, and that it's a sort of a red flag issue for a lot of voters. That's what the politicians see. So they're reluctant to change because they fear that it'll affect their standing in the general election.
Affect their vote bank,
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
I arrived in Longford over 4 years ago, and my two boys got a gracious welcome from the Catholic boys' school. They sang at communion completely their own wish, no pressure. So that's, yeah. But look, loads of people get into their local school around the country. In Dublin, there's more pressure on places, and what happens to you happens to more people in Dublin than in other parts of the country. It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't happen at all. It happens in Dublin most of the time because the schools are oversubscribed.
Yes.
And that's when they pick up this policy. Otherwise, if you go to any countryside, they will call you, oh, come join our school, because they need more students. That time they will not even talk about these things.
Yes. And if Eva was back in India, what would the situation be?
India, she can get into any school. There's even in India, there are quite a few schools run by Catholics, run by Hindu institutions. They don't ask your baptism certificate, or they don't ask your Hindu certificate if you want to join that school.
Right. You have a Hindu certificate?
No, I don't.
No. Just, that doesn't serve it. Roopesh, I hope it works out for you, and more importantly, I hope for the country that things change.
Yes.
And it's great that Kitty Holland highlighted your story, because unless people hear stories like yours, there won't be pressure for change.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Advise that lovely Indian gentleman to go with the discriminatory system until his daughter gets in, and then forget about it, says Pat in Wexford. Pat, that's not good enough. It's sort of enforced sort of hypocrisy, isn't it? This issue is so crazy. The state are paying all the money. You're right, Ray Daft. That man is right. This is seriously anger-inducing. Remember, all denominations can use the denomination card, says Edward. Yeah. Roopesh, thanks for coming in, and we wish you and Eva
before
and
we wind up,
yes.
I just would like to mention that I've called in for a march on 25th of October, starting from Leinster House to Department of Education, just to put the pressure on the government and bring to the notice that there are loads of parents who are not happy with this, and they should bring in a change in the law.
Do you know what happens, unfortunately? Because inevitably children grow up.
Yeah.
So this is an issue for parents at one stage in their life, and then they move on. And because of that, there isn't a sort of a cohort of people who are constantly protesting for this.
But my point is, I have suffered
Yes.
Now Eva is into a school, but I don't want other parents, those who are following, to suffer. I'm fighting for them. I'm not fighting for myself anymore.
We'll put the details of the march up on our blog.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Roopesh.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for having me.
The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio.